Today we are going to be building responsive repeating groups using Bubble's new responsive engine. Hello everyone, I did a 2-hour live workshop on Bubble's new responsive engine when it came out, and it's really amazing, the overall new responsive engine, but repeating groups were not covered in more detail. So I thought I'd make a video covering just repeating groups, and a responsive table is one of the most common use cases that we have for our client projects. So we do chop columns. In some scenarios, you could potentially make double layouts if you want to keep displaying the same information. But quite often we just, there are things which are like redundant, which you could potentially skip. So we are really concerned about the name and the role in this case. So in the mobile layout, we'll just display those two. And if you click, generally speaking, in an app, you would kind of open a pop-up or a modal with just more detail, more information, or go to a separate page with full information there. But when it comes to tables, removing columns is something that's doable. With the new responsive engine, width collapse also works. So if we make things invisible based on a conditional parameter, the width will collapse as well, which is quite different compared to the previous way. All right, so let's get started into the editor. Here's the editor. I'm going to basically start from scratch. So let's see, we need, let's start with the repeating group rather than the, what's it called? Rather than the header. Okay, so one repeating group, container layout, our elements are in a table, so they're in a row. Okay, and let's first align the whole repeating group. So let's move it to previous, give it margin from the table heading, give it margins on the left and right. Now in terms of the width, the way I configured it this time was more using percentages and less using pixels to get that really nice snappy feeling. It's just configured, everything's configured based on a percentage. So it just tries to shrink and grow nicely based on a percentage rather than pixels. All right. Okay. So we have, it's just a simple, do a search for users. We are displaying 10 users, items until 10. Now we are not going to use fixed rows and columns. Again, we're going to use percentages, and each person, the width is 100%. That's fine. We're going to take the whole, but that's a width of each cell. So we are 100%. Before, the width of the whole repeating group was 95%, and that gave us some margins on the left and right. Okay, so the width of each cell. Now the width of each row, if you want 10, 1 2 3 4 5 so 10 50 500 pixels. Okay, so let's make it 500 pixels, and each row is 10%, and now we have 10 rows and each row is 10%. Okay, so now within each row we want some text elements. Okay, so one text element here. Let's just we started with, oh, we had the image first. One second. So let's start with the image. Ooh, too big. Let's just make it 30 and give it some margin from the left, align it in the center. All right, so that's our image. Okay, now let's add some text elements. Okay, so let's add, what was the first one? Name. Okay, so we are using the first name. Now again, we're going to be using percentages throughout the system. Okay, so let's call it 10%, and the height can be fixed as well, but we can use one of the tricks that I've found is that if you give it 0 pixel height, it kind of snugly takes it. So it kind of snugly hugs the whole element. Okay, so we didn't assign, yeah, we didn't assign here. So let's give it a dynamic image, current cell user, profile photo. Yeah, we have our text elements. Okay, so we're here. Our layout, center aligning this cell. We haven't given them, why are they two hugging each other? So let's use this property of the whole row and space things around a bit. This one or this one, space around, space between, space around is fine. Okay, so we have one cell width 10% fixed, center alignment when it comes to the row. We have current cell username, and okay, that's now time for copy paste. Copy, paste, paste, paste. So much easier in the new responsive engine compared to the old one. So we can use last name here. We can use, what was it, email, and we can use we have the date, sign up date, and we have the title. Sometimes the layout in the editor can look ugly, but in the actual kind of in runtime mode, it's not as bad. It looks pretty good actually. So let's see. That was pretty fast compared to the old way. Did we miss something? We missed the role. Okay, so let's use another text element here, and let's just place role, or what was it? Oh yeah, it's list of privileges, and display. Okay, so now we have our that was, if you compare it to repeating groups previously, even now this should be somewhat responsive. Okay, this it's not kind of bad. I mean, it's not great, it's not like this, but that's a bit of styling stuff. But what we just have even now is pretty good. Okay, but still, let's tune it up a bit. Let's tune it up. Start with the left. Let's just apply a circle mask here. Apply a circle mask, so this is going to be circular. First name seems fine. We are missing style, so let me just table repeating group style. Let's apply what was it, G left center. We need something stronger here. I think the first name and last name are G9, and then it's G5 left 14 pixel. Yeah, they're a slightly lower weight, so a slightly lower weight. By the way, these are coming from Tailwind UI, if somebody's wondering. I'm not a designer, so I rely on greater people than myself to design this. So we have a pill, and let's see what it looks like after applying some styling. Yeah, starting to look like a table, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so now we need to hide columns. Okay, there are some, like the override properties are not written here, but that's just if it's an admin, make it red, so that's not something you could add in a style, so that's something in a conditional, so because it's a very specific conditional here. So let's just copy the condition and paste it here. Why is this not coming through? It's not coming through. Okay, let's go the old-fashioned way. List of privileges contains admin, and we change the font color. So pro tip when working with conditionals that change styling is that you can use this slight on off button to view it in the editor here. Okay, so if we want to change the font color, we'll change the font color, and if I click on, I see the change here, so I don't need to click refresh all the time. Background color, and yep, so that's how it's gonna look like. Pretty okay. All right, I'm gonna switch it off now. So let's see, we have Julius and scientist, and Julius and okay, so the date is formatted wrong, it's too big, so let's chop the date a bit, formatted as this. The other thing, okay, so we can tune the percentages here. So we copy pasted all the elements. we gave them all 10% of the space. Okay, and you can play around with these numbers. But if I wanted a bit more for email, for example, and a bit more for maybe title, I'll just give them 15%. Okay, and that's going to move things around and give a bit more breathing room to the email, a bit more kind of breathing room to the title, and it just varies based on the exact use case and the exact scenario. So we have fairly quickly a table which is pretty nice and responsive if you compare it to the previous way of making such things. Let's make the header, or not the header, this is a space here. Let's make the header, and the header is gonna be a group. Okay, we're gonna place it here. Did it go there? Yeah, it went here. Okay, make it previous, and let's make it center. It's of type row. We need to stretch it, and we need to use the same properties that we are using inside the repeating group. So I think here we were using 95%. Let's center align this a bit. 30 pixels to the left. Are we? Oh, we're giving 20 pixel margins here. So let's just keep it consistent. Give it 20 pixel margin here. Now we have a group here at the top. We don't need the top margin, so we're going to remove this. The height needs to be quite fixed, and the height can be 50 pixel. Okay, let's see, we can cheat a bit from our reference in the left. The height, group header, group conditional. Okay, but let's see. Another pro tip that I've found, realized that Firefox is currently more stable than Chrome. I happen to have Chrome on the other tab, and it's just not behaving nicely. So it's just when viewing the layout and the properties. I'm sure they'll fix it soon. It's something small, or it could be on my system. So we basically need all of these replicated at the top. Okay, so if we have a group header, we need all of these. Control C, Control V, and now we need to tune the same properties. So I think we used space between. No, we used space around. We didn't give it margin, so let's give it margin, and everything's here. Okay, so now the difference is this thing isn't here, and we need to vertically align. Why is it growing too big? One step at a time. So we basically don't have this, we have just name. Okay, and fixed width. It seems to be going somewhere. For some reason they've all shrunk. I think it's just this thing pushing it down. This was a role, and this was G4, G5, 12 pixel center. Yeah, I think they're all move up once there's something sensible. So let's call it title. Let's call it date, email, what's this, last name. Okay, let's give it this one, G5W500, G5W500, left 20 pixel, name, email, G5 left, G5 left. Okay, so now we have a table. Yeah, it was just those, it wouldn't have actually pushed. Let's see, and changing the color a little bit to table header, and now we have our styles tuned up a bit. Let's see now. Okay, so this is our original where we make columns disappear. Let's do that next. Yeah, looking like a very nice, beautiful table. Even this is, if somebody's on just desktop, this is pretty good. This is pretty much enough now. Even it's scaling down really nicely. So if you look at it, scaling down all the way to 700 pixels. So on laptop or like 1200 pixels and above, it's pretty fine. So let's hide this column on if this is less than 1200, I guess we can, yeah, we can do that. So width, current page width less than, I've put breakpoints in an option set in case I feel that we're gonna change things. So if it's less than 1200 attributes width, make this invisible, and we're gonna also collapse when hidden. Okay, so let's see, switch it on. Interesting. So this doesn't work here, it's only stylistic stuff. I don't know if that's a bug that needs to be reported. Interesting. Okay, but we can copy paste these conditional, so and apply it on the column as well, and collapse when hidden. Date can be removed, collapse when hidden, and date can be removed, collapse when hidden. What else? Let's see how it behaves now. So name, last name, we need a bit of margin at the top. So I hope you, people who have been familiar with the old editor will realize that this was too fast. Let's see, tail playground. So we have, yep, date is gone. Date and last name are gone. And we have more breathing room. More breathing room. Yeah, but now we need to go even lower. Okay, so let's see. Which columns do we make disappear? Let's make the title and email disappear as well, but on a different breakpoint. So this is gonna be on laptop. Let's remove this on tablet. Okay, collapse when hidden. Move this on tablet and remove this on laptop. Okay, so we're gonna remove this on laptop and collapse when true. Remove this on laptop, collapse when true, and let's see where we are now. But we should be pretty close to our original reference now, so which was like, okay, this table can just shrink all the way down quite a bit. And let's see. Yeah, yep, and okay, so now we have at 375. See what's happening here. This should still work, right? Name, like this should still, there is space here. Okay, there is space here. I mean, we are going really deep now, but there is space here. So what can we tune as a property? We can tune the, we've made this fixed width, right? We can make it we can assign a larger percentage to it, just max width, not just 10% fixed width, but make it like 10% and 15%, give it a range, and we need to reflect the same thing in the header. So give it a range, and that should improve things. Let's do the same with the role. So 15%, and let's do the same with the role, 15%. And let's see how this looks like now at a small kind of radius. Does that improve things a bit? Yeah, see, that was very even smaller, 360. Yeah, 348. Now of course real data may be like larger, different, and you can tune the parameters, the minimum width as a percentage, the maximum width as a percentage. I'm sure over time the properties will grow as well, which will allow us to make it even more awesome and powerful. But let's see, have we covered everything? We haven't covered the bottom row, the pagination one, but that's rather simple, so I won't make it again. I'll just show it. That one's pretty straightforward. It's just 3 elements in a group. Uh, in old responsive, we would have had like groups, and invisible groups and all sorts of magic here. But this one's just an align to parent. In fact, I'll just make it again. So group, click here. So this is gonna be no, what was it? Round 5 white. The align to parent layout type, not fixed width. Again, we're going for the 95% style. We're gonna center it. We're gonna give it the 20 pixel margins. Let's give it something from the top as well. Then we just have 3 elements here. Okay, well, the height, I mean, how much height? Okay, 65 pixels, so let's just make it 65 pixel high. Then we have a text element here. Okay, page 1 of 10, and we're gonna just give it, make it aligned, make its height 0 so it snugly holds it, 20 pixel. We need some buttons, so let's give some buttons here, align them at the top, and we need, the style is more like white 12, white, maybe white 14. Okay, white 14. Next, in fact, let's put the, okay, that's fine. We can make it a fixed width is fine. Yeah, that's next. And 20, no, 20. Okay, so that's one area. The height can be reduced as well. So let's see, 40, and the height can be reduced. And copy paste. So we copy paste. Now we have the previous button, but we just place it at 80 pixels or 100 pixels from the right, because this is the align to parent layout mode. It's not rows and columns. So align to parent is nice for things like this header and sticky headers and those. I'm fairly sure I'll use align to parent for headers, top nav bars. But let's see what we have here. Previous, and this one needs to be a bit bigger. Oops, too big. Still feels too big. I feel like this one, the style is different. Yeah, it's white 12, so let's just make it white 12, a bit smaller. So let's make it white 12. So now we have a nice bottom bar, pretty straightforward. Fairly confident this will respond like it, because it's the align to parent mode, isn't it? And it's gonna just, the elements are allowed to overlap in align to parent. So if we go really small, they will just overlap. Well, we didn't need to, but yeah, see, this is so much faster in the new responsive compared to the old one. So it takes a bit of a while to get used to the new responsive engine, to work around and get comfortable with margins, percentages, sizing, and thinking in all these different layouts, because we have just a gazillion more parameters than we used to have. But yeah, it's I hope this was useful. If I'm thinking of doing more videos and more content as we go, but I'll probably run out of ideas quickly once we're done with our kind of regular client kind of design system work. So please reach out to me on Twitter, ZubairLK_NoCode, and follow, kind of tweet, I'd like a tutorial on this, or comment wherever this you find it, like the Bubble Forum, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever. Hope this was useful, and thank you very much. Bye.